What if evolution occasionally designs a monster?
What if evolution occasionally designs a monster?
Evolution favors efficiency, but sometimes novelty reigns supreme. But these failed experiments reveal the tight constraints of biology. And now that we understand the constraints, let's explore Monster 1. The Anomalocaris, a nightmare built from mismatched parts. Its feeding apparatus was spectacularly overkill for its prey. This radical body plan lacked necessary integration for long-term success. The evolutionary path shifted, leaving the Anomalocaris behind. And now that we understand failed predation, let's explore Monster 2. But the giant sea scorpions, massive arthropods of the Paleozoic. Their gills were structurally complex, yet highly vulnerable to oxygen changes. Their sheer bulk demanded immense metabolic energy to sustain. When the seas shallowed, this excess mass became a fatal liability. But this highlights the metabolic cost of extreme specialization. Moving from water to air, we examine Monster 3's aerial blunder. Imagine a flying reptile with massive, sail-like wing structures. The sail structure provided little actual lift for its mass. It required incredible muscle power just to initiate the flap cycle. This design prioritized display over fundamental aerodynamics. Evolution eventually favored smaller, denser wings for maneuverability. Monster 4 involved a structural strategy gone completely RE internally. But consider ancient organisms with excessive, non-functional segmentation. But each segment demanded its own costly, dedicated nervous system wiring. A natural selection pruned this redundancy for survival. Inefficiency often means integrating functions, not multiplying them. And now that we understand structural overload, let's explore Monster 5. Some life tried to achieve invulnerability through extreme calcification. This armor provided defense, but negated flexibility entirely. Feeding became a nearly impossible task due to armor constraints. Density became its doom when the environment shifted slightly. Modern armor balances strength with necessary joint mobility. When these 5 experiments show evolution exploring dead ends repeatedly. The protagonist here is the pressure of natural selection itself. But our journey explores how a fictional scientist first mapped these failures. As she realized that complexity isn't inherently superior to simplicity. Here every monster represented a high-risk, high-reward evolutionary gamble. The simulations showed the rapid collapse of overly specialized forms. The key was resource management versus structural advantage. On evolution's logic, gates often filter out the extravagantly complex. The successful forms are the ones that maintained robust flexibility. This lineage avoided the pitfalls of singular, radical commitment. On every surviving species represents a successful negotiation with nature. The scientist concluded that evolutionary monsters are simply high-variance attempts. Deep time acts as the ultimate, unforgiving editor. On her arc completus, understanding failure reveals the true nature of success. The cost of building a monster is often the inability to pivot. Contrast this with the rigid, giant sea scorpion sinking. On genetic information itself avoids overly complex instructions. The successful blueprint remains modular and easily modified. We see this balance everywhere in the world today. With that small, adaptable creatures often outlive the behemoths. That their massive commitment to one form proved terminal. This study validates the power of incremental, tested improvements. The most successful fish didn't develop massive armor or strange fins. They stayed within the fitness valleys, avoiding risky peaks. The history of life is littered with spectacular, yet temporary, giants. A simplicity, when perfectly suited, often proves the ultimate strength. Studying these monsters teaches us about evolutionary boundaries. Every constraint overcome fuels the next, safer innovation. The line between genius design and monstrous failure is incredibly thin.